In the previous video, we looked at 4 key climate patterns that showed how established economic rules of the game force components to change over time. In this video, we'll take a look at another 5 climate patterns that will touch issues of speed, finances, inertia, competitors, and what we can and can't predict about the future. Let's start with speed. It's important to be aware that efficiency enables innovation. To illustrate this, let's look at websites on our map, a component we've identified as being industrialized. Industrialized means that we think our market sees websites as being stable, standardized, and obvious components that are well-known, well-defined, and an expected cost of doing business. And this widespread certainty means that market demand for websites has increased. Everybody needs one. Therefore, supply has risen up to meet it. Today, there are a wide choice of companies offering ever cheaper services for designing and hosting websites. This means that websites today are efficient. They're widely available, reliable, and a relatively inexpensive component. And this has encouraged other suppliers to build innovative components on top of websites, like payment systems or multimedia integrations that meet new user needs. For example, to pick and pay for a product in one place, or to have a more immersive digital experience. This demonstrates how websites have become an efficient platform upon which new innovations can be built. So in the case of our business school, we may decide to build new innovative components on top of our website to satisfy emerging user needs. For example, offering users greater choice about how to study, such as the traditional face-to-face option, but also online or even a hybrid approach. This climate pattern shows us that, as a progressive business school, we should not waste our time trying to reinvent websites, as there's an entire industry competing around that already. Instead, what we should do is utilize new components built on top of websites that can help us satisfy our user needs better. In this case, we may look at some kind of augmented reality options to give students studying online a better user experience. And the reason we do this is that higher-order systems create new sources of value. That is, components higher up the value chain are more visible to users. So if we can improve these, the users will see and appreciate the value we're creating. What goes on in the back room is less interesting to users. Graduate students won't be convinced to study at our business school if we advertise we've got a website and facilities, as those are just the cost of doing business in this industry. Our focus should be on higher-order systems built on top of those that enable us to differentiate ourselves from the competition. As we've already said, maybe this is an augmented reality experience, or partnering with other international business schools so we can offer our students a global MBA delivered at multiple facilities around the world. Big tech firms don't promote their products by focusing on the fact that they need electricity to power them, and we shouldn't try to sell our business school courses by focusing on the underlying components needed to run them. We should focus on where we offer the most value to end users by helping them meet their needs better. By now, you should be starting to see that not everything is random, which is our 7th climate pattern. It's virtually impossible to predict what new components will appear on the left-hand side of the map, or when these new inventions will appear, and there's a high degree of risk that many of these things will fail. Therefore, we might choose to be fast followers, waiting to see what survives and gains traction first before investing in it ourselves. When a component survives by finding demand in the marketplace, we get a greater level of predictability about what will appear next, a better version. We just don't know when that will happen or who will do it. If you're focusing rigorously on meeting user needs, then it may be you that releases that better version. If it's not, and your rival has got there before you, then you need to respond quickly and copy it. When components are on the right of the map, we also have a high level of predictability about what will appear. An industrialized version, such as electricity as a utility service, which replaced standalone generators, or cloud computing, which replaced internal servers. And we can predict when the market is right for this shift by identifying 4 weak signals. Users start complaining about the value for money of existing products, ideas for alternative services existing, technologies becoming available to deliver those new ideas, and someone coming up with something suitable that others might buy. On our map, we might see that the ranking system might be ripe for change. Current rankings are heavily weighted towards graduate salaries, which favor business school in richer Western countries, even though the quality of education may be better elsewhere. We may have ideas about how we can provide a more evolved version and the technology to back that up. All we need to do now is to design something suitable, which a map will be a great help in doing. If, with a map in hand, we recognize that we are onto something, then we should be a first mover into this space and satisfy all those users who are dissatisfied with the current way of doing things. You will be helped in this by the 8th climate pattern, as the current industry giants won't respond quickly, as past success breeds inertia. They will be more focused on continuing to do things the way they've always done them because, well, they've been successful in the past and they'll be expecting that to continue. But as we've already seen, we have no choice about evolution. We have to keep running just to stay in the same place. And those who stop get left behind. The 9th and final climate pattern we're looking at in this video is the fact that most of your competitors have poor situational awareness. Thank goodness. This gives you a big advantage, because if they don't have maps, they can't see the landscape and won't understand how it's changing or where the opportunities or threats are coming from. Some do, of course, but most don't. Those are the ones who look for gurus to follow, best practices to imitate, or in desperation, rely on machine intelligence to do their thinking for them, as this Time article shows. When the actress Anne Hathaway hosted the Oscars and was in the news for a week, the shares of Warren Buffett's corporate conglomerate Berkshire Hathaway rose by 5%. So when you're up against this sort of competition, a map of your industry and some understanding of the basic economic rules of the game will give you a significant advantage over your rivals. This is why we apply climate patterns to the map of our landscape, because it helps us identify multiple wheres we could attack the market, as that's where the opportunities are, or where we should seek to mount a defense against the threats we've identified. We can then decide why we should be making these moves here over the other moves somewhere else. And that's what we'll explore in the penultimate video of this series, Strategy Sessions Made Simple. So watch out for that.